Good evening, everyone. Welcome gallery and welcome virtual gallery to our August Ordinary Council meeting. Please be upstanding for our acknowledgement of country and our council prayer. I'd like to start the meeting by acknowledging and extending my appreciation for the Dja people, the traditional owners of the land we're standing on today. Today, we pay our respects to leaders and elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, traditions, the culture and the hopes of all Dja people. The council prayer. Almighty God, we ask you to be present in this council. Direct and guide our deliberations. We ask you to grant us wisdom and sensitivity as we deal with the business of Central Goldfields Shire. May each decision that we make advance the well-being of all our residents. This we pray. Amen. Thank you, everyone. No apologies, and no leave of absence. Councillors, do I have any conflict of interest for tonight's meeting? No. We'll move on to item 5, confirmation of minutes from previous council meetings. There's 2 items, draft minutes from the council meeting, and there was also a confidential special council meeting. Could I have a councillor to move that, please? Oh, lots of hands. Councillor Meadows-Taylor, seconder, please. Councillor Vella, all those in favour? Against? That is carried. There's no minutes of delegated and advisory committees, and there's no petition, so we will go straight into item 8, our officers' reports. Item 8.1, page 11 of our agenda, which is contract G1882/2023, annual supply delivery of lay asphalt. Do I have a council to move that, please? Councillor Sprout.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the recommendation that Council 1 award contract G1882-2023 annual supply, deliver and lay asphalt panel to both Centre State Asphalting Proprietary Limited and BA Road Surfaces Proprietary Limited for the term of 4 years with an optional 3-year extension if required. And 2, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to formally execute the contract and approve spend up to $1.2 million over the initial 4-year term of the contract.
Thank you, Councillor Sprout. Councillors, do I have a second for that motion, please? Councillor Murphy. Councillor Sprout, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mayor. This is a panel contract, which means that all the mentioned applicants within the recommendation have been selected to supply, deliver and lay asphalt for the Shire. The previous asphalting contract has recently expired, hence the need for this new contract to ensure that Council's ongoing capital works are supported. The contract was evaluated in accordance with our Procurement Policy 2023, and the evaluation panel undertook post-tender reference checks to help ensure value for money for Council and ratepayers.
Thank you, Councillor Sprout. Councillor Murphy. Would any other councillors like to speak to this motion? If not, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That motion is carried. We have item 8.2, social and affordable housing, page 15 of our agenda. Do I have a councillor to move? Councillor de Villiers, your motion is?
That council adopt the social and affordable housing challenges and opportunities paper.
Thank you, Councillor de Villiers. Do I have someone to second that, please? Councillor Lavella. Councillor de Villiers, would you like to speak to your motion?
Yes, thank you. The studies have been conducted and there is a huge need for social and affordable housing driven by different factors. It's estimated that 848 households in Central Goldfields has an approximate need for affordable housing. The intention of this report is to provide a simple and practical action plan to address the shortages across the municipality.
Thank you, Councillor de Villiers. Councillor Lavella, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, indeed. The purpose of this report is to present social and affordable housing challenges as was outlined outlined by council and the opportunity paper developed by Regional Housing Victoria in consultation with council and a small community-based reference group. The intention of the paper is to provide a simple and practical action plan to address the shortages across the municipality. This is clearly proportionate to council's role and capacity, provides clarity for a set of responsibilities across council, can be used as a tool to ensure progress is maintained and monitored. Social and affordable housing is a huge challenge in Victoria and indeed Australia-wide. Our population is currently 13,500. The population is stable with slow population growth projected well into the future. However, the growth in the cost of housing has been significant over the past 5 years. Rental costs have risen 40%. Building costs have risen 63%. The availability of housing, particularly rentals, has dramatically fallen over this time. While around 65 new homes are built in the municipality each year, this rate barely keep up the population growth and will not be sufficient to address housing stress and homelessness. There are a number of housing projects currently in the pipeline. A 20-unit development in Margaret Avenue approved with 50% social housing. There's a 19-unit planning permit approved, joint EOI to Regional Worker Accommodation Fund and from a private developer, and Haven Home Safe received invitation for formal application. Now we're awaiting the outcome of that. 21 lot subdivision at 7 Sebastopol Street, some of which would cater for affordable housing. Planning application is submitted and currently under assessment. So you can see from the stats, we are short of housing and short of funding, and we need this paper for future planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vella. Any other councillors like to speak to this? Councillor Murphy.
Thanks, councillors. You stole my thunder a bit there, Councillor Bell, but I'll just pick up on things which are true to me. There's a significant challenge for people who are homeless, with around about 340 people seeking homeless support services last year in our Shire. Around 500 households are living in housing stress. Now, they're living in housing stress, spending more than 30% of their income on rental or mortgage costs. Councillor Bello said about rental costs and buying costs. We've got to get on top of it. So over when we do affordable housing, we're looking about the development in Margaret Avenue, which came up, which is on the cards. It's there, and it will be done. And there's the 19-unit planning in Tallaroo Road somewhere. And that is being supported as a developer, being supported by Haven Homes. So they're in it together, and that will allow rental assistance and for people to go into as lower housing rent. And then the next one was just been we've just talked about this in briefings of 21 lot subdivision of 7 Sebastopol Street. Some of that caters for affordable housing. That's in the planning application. So these things are on its way. But, you know, it's so hard. These things are so hard to get going to do and then to get developers to do it for affordable housing and that. But also, the state government wants us to do it. But are the state government allowing people not to have stamp duty on new houses? So if I need to buy a new house, or affordable house, if you don't have stamp duty on $400,000, you probably save 30 grand. I think also the state government should look at how they raise their money on things, on houses, and they want people into houses to be affordable. There's only so much that local government can do, the land we can make available and do it. But I'm concerned about the homelessness, where we live, How do we do it? How do we put people into, how do we get them into homes? How do we get them off the structural to a person, maybe a couple of days who probably lives somewhere between the grandstand and another place, I know, but at the end of the day, we've got to help this happen, but the state government has to too. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Murphy. Any other councillors? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just picking up on councillor Murphy's comments, which I agree. Australia is in a housing crisis generally, which the social and affordable housing, of course, is a key component, and it's one that we're very mindful of. The reasons have been pointed out, and it affects communities like ours particularly so. But it is a part of a broader housing crisis. It will not be resolved any particular time. It will take the next few years to play out. And I would add to the comments that Councillor Murphy said, I think it's incumbent on both state and Commonwealth governments to work together on solutions through the National Cabinet. One of I think, the very progressive solutions that the Commonwealth Government introduced as part of its support housing package is the grants of up to $45 million to councils without any strings attached in terms of co-contributions for enabling infrastructure. Enabling infrastructure is going to be critical to councils like ours and many others who, because the developers, whether it's social affordable housing or whether it's housing generally, will look to councils for things like services, roads, reserves, and other services. In the Talbot case, obviously sewage is a key thing. So enabling infrastructure taking many forms will be a key thing, and it's a policy thing. We will not have the funds ourselves to do that. So I commend the Commonwealth Government. The timelines in this case for this round were particularly tight, in fact undeliverable in terms of for many initiatives, but we hopefully can take advantage of it. We've got a proposal that will enable us to go forward. So we commend the Commonwealth Government for that. I hope the state will match and work in so that we can access both for enabling infrastructure and do so in the years to come, because that will be a critical element of meeting the housing crisis, both for social and affordable housing and housing generally. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Mallows Taylor. Any other councillors would like to speak to this motion? No, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That motion is carried. Moving on to the next item, which is item 8.3, page 40 of the agenda, the draft risk management policy for community consultation. Do I have someone to move that, please?
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation. The council, in accordance with the Central Goldfields Shire engagement policy, make the draft risk management policy available for public comment. 2, receive comments, submissions on the draft risk management policy from 21st of August 2024 until the close of business 4th of September 2020.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Do I have a second?
You've only got a month to go.
Councillor Lovett. Councillor Mallows Taylor, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, risk and management of risk is something that I think has become increasingly part of the language of organisations in terms of how they do business. In our case, as the report notes, there has been a need to substantially change and update our risk management policy. That's a good thing, because it does show that things are changing and moving. As the report notes, one of the things we have to take into account, the Victorian government risk management policy and framework is changing. So ours needs to accord with it. I think for a lot of people thinking, well, what is this risk management thing about? One of the very real issues that we've talked about as a council is, what is our risk appetite for borrowing? And we know that some of the projects we've talked about, including the outdoor pool at Maryborough and other projects, involve borrowing. So what is our risk management appetite? How ready are we to borrow? under what conditions, what is the risk of that borrowing to future councils, to the community? So I think the issue, whether it's update of our heritage assets, our general assets, growth, development, borrowing, what is our risk management appetite? What is our culture, therefore, our culture in terms of risk? The resources, how do we balance that? How do we access borrowing or other resources, and our decisions of how we allocate it? What are the roles and responsibilities of people involved in risk management? And what is the reporting and accountability? So in other words, we just don't take actions that sound good at the time. We take carefully considered actions and try and look forward and make informed decisions based on what we think are prudent, sensible decisions that not only bind us but subsequent councils and our community going forward into the future, as we're required to do under our long-term financial plan. So this is good. This is really important, and our community need to be engaged with this, because some of the big decisions we need to take are about taking risk and managing risk. And I commend the officers for the engagement with consultants on the risk management sessions that we had to try and test out and model our own appetite for risk on various issues. I thought they were really, really informative and helpful and probing. So I think this is important. Look forward to the community's input, and I'd encourage the community to think about this, and so not just say, when's that council going to fix the outdoor pool, but think about what about the borrowing that's going to be necessary for a lot of the good things that we want to do. What are the investment? What is the risk in all of this? Because that's a critical consideration. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Councillor Meadows-Taylor. Councillor Lovett. Nothing to add. Thank you. Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Murphy.
Thinking, speaking on it myself, I feel that every time we do something like anything we do, and there's a policy for people to read and we come back, we might get a lot of people reading. So everything we do, there is a policy to read the policy, read the areas, and if you want to make some comments, make a comment and come back to it. That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Any other councillors like to speak to this? No? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That motion is carried. Moving on to item 8.4, the strategic risk management framework. It sounds the same, but it's different. Page 50 of our agenda. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Murphy. A motion.
Recommendation that council adopt the risk management framework. Strategic.
Thank you. And a seconder, please. Councillor Lovett. Thank you. Councillor Murphy.
As with the last one, it really is near enough. Same, but it's a risk management framework. So I just really want people to read up on it, and constituents to read up on how it all fits. It is risk all the time, how we manage it, and how strategically management. So I'm just saying to the community, please have a look at this when you read these minutes or go over this. So I'm just asking that, and I'm pretty happy with the way this framework has come through. And there is a framework here, so people can read it, can understand it, and there's no excuse for not understanding. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor Lovett, would you like to speak next?
All I would like to add is that for many years, all local government councils have had an audit subcommittee in place, but now it's called Audit and Risk Committee, because in local government, risk now plays a very, very important role. That is for all councils to manage and project what future risk may be. So this risk management policy, although it sounds very dry, is very, very important, because it places the onus on all councils to identify areas of future risk and then to put policies in place to ensure that those risks are mitigated. So this is a very, very important framework and policy that we're looking at.
Thank you, councillor Lovett. Would any other councillors like to speak? If not, put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That motion is carried. Next on the agenda is item 8.5, the Fair Access Policy Post Community Engagement, page 76 on our agenda. Do I have a councillor to move that, please? Councillor Sproul.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move the officer's recommendation that Council 1 notes the submissions received during the consultation period and 2, adopt the fair access policy.
Thank you, councillor Sproul. Councillors, do I have a second, please? Councillor Lavella. Councillor Sproul, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thank you, Mayor. The Victorian Government had an inquiry into women and girls in sport and active recreation. Recommendation 6 from that inquiry stipulated to deliver female-friendly built environments and equitable facility usage policies. State and local government, as well as the sector, must work together to ensure that the built environment is appropriate, to encourage facility owners and managers to review access and usage policies and to address safety issues. A roadmap has been developed, which includes a policy template and action plan, and these provide a good base for council to adopt as is or to modify to suit our community. There are 6 fair access principles which are listed in the report and the plan. The policy and plan went out for public comment between the 26th of June and the 26th of July this year, and a survey was also undertaken. Overall, the survey received positive responses, but from some comments, I suspect there may be some misunderstandings in the purpose of the policy, but this highlights the need for effective engagement with stakeholders going forward. Concerns around lack of volunteers or limited resources, challenging male-dominated committees or roles as well as how and when compliance will be monitored. So this feedback has been taken into consideration and will be addressed through the action plan.
Thank you, councillor Sproul. Councillor Lavella.
Thank you. This report is in accordance with the Gender Equality Act 2020, and it certainly addresses what the requirements are of any local government. Once the policy and action plan had been adopted, council officers will work with members of the community engagement team to develop a comprehensive engagement plan that will support implementation of the policy and indeed the action plan. In conclusion, the development of the fair access policy will support gender equitable access and use of community sports facilities, as was outlined by Councillor Sproul, but I'd like to reiterate so that the community knows, so that women and girls, as well as transgender diverse groups, can fully participate and enjoy the benefits of community sport with fair opportunity and access to their local facilities. Officers have consulted with key internal and external stakeholders in both the development of the draft policy and the action plan, and both documents were made available for public comment via Council's Engage website for 4 weeks from the 26th of June 24. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Lavella. Would any other councillors like to speak to this motion? No, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That motion is carried. Next on the agenda is item 8.6, appointment of substitute representative to Mav State Council, page 113 on our agenda. Do I have a council to move that, please? Councillor Lavella.
I so move that council appoint Mayor Councillor Elizabeth Long as council substitute representative for the Municipal Association of Victoria to attend Mav State meeting on the 23rd of August 2020.
Thank you, councillor Lavella. Do I have a seconder? Councillor de Villiers. Councillor Lavella, would you like to speak to this?
Well, this has come about because our representative, Councillor de Villiers, could not make it on that day. And unfortunately, at late notice, I had a priority that took over and I couldn't make it. And this is to do this. It's a regulation we need to do to ensure that we have someone representing our council at that very strategic matter state meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Ballard. Councillor de Villiers?
Nothing to add.
Nothing further. Anyone else like to speak? Not put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That motion is carried. Next we have setting council meeting dates for the remainder of 2024. There was a few alterations. It's page 115 of our agenda. Do I have someone to move that, please? Councillor Lovett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move that council adopt the following proposed council meeting dates for the remainder of 2024. Monday, the 16th of September, Tuesday, the 22nd of October, Tuesday, the 19th of November for the statutory council meeting, Tuesday, the 26th of November, and Tuesday, the 17th of December.
Thank you, councillor Lovett. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Murphy. Councillor Lovett, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. These changes are as a result of the upcoming council's election. Council go into the caretaker mode at noon on Tuesday, the 17th of September. Therefore, the September ordinary council meeting has been moved to the day prior, Monday, the 16th. The October ordinary council meeting will be on Tuesday, the 22nd of October, where council are still under caretaker provisions with the current councillors in place. Although voting in our election will be postal, election day has been designated as Saturday, the 26th of October. Therefore, as a result, all councillors go out of office at 6 a.m. on the morning of Saturday, the 26th. Tuesday, the 19th of November is when the newly elected council will be sworn in. And from the 26th of October to the 19th of November, both the acting and interim CEOs will be in charge, as there are no councillors until they're sworn in the evening of the 19th. Thank you very much, Madam
Thank you,
Mayor.
councillor Lovett. Councillor Murphy.
I have a question of the CEO. If there's a new group of councillors and the councillors can't do Tuesday nights, some can't do Tuesday nights, so it's decided to do it Wednesday or Monday, can this be changed?
Ms. Roffey, would you like to answer that question?
Thank you for that question. Yes, of course they can be changed. So I mean, often when you get a new council come in, a lot of things have to be talked about, renegotiated, including briefing meetings, council meetings. So if council needed to do so, they could do that by another resolution, and a special meeting could be called to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Roffey. That answers your questions, councillor Murphy. Would anyone else like to speak to this? No, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That motion is carried. Last item on our agenda is item 8.8, page 118 of our agenda, which is the Victorian Women's Public Art Program. Do I have a councillor to move that, please? Councillor Meadows-Tate.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation that council endorse an application to the Victorian Women's Public Art Program honouring the women of the Goldfields.
Thank you, councillor Meadows-Taylor. Do I have a second, please? Councillor Lovett. Councillor Meadows-Taylor, would you like to speak to your motion?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. This is particularly exciting, and I commend the officers for bringing this to council. This is only the second time this particular grant program honouring women of Victoria has come up. We don't know about its future. Grants up to $200,000. The applicant contribution 20%, that's 40,000, but that can be also substantially declined. The report notes that there would be a fair opportunity if we were successful that in-kind funds could be provided. The report proposes that we actually address some very important strategic objectives. I mean, before pointing those out, I should say I think that public art is a source of community pride. It's something we've discussed as a council, and so having art in our community it is a source of community pride. It also enables us to tell the story, and to, in our case, tell the story of a very rich heritage. And the proposal is here that we link together the story of the Goldfields and the gold rush, and also connect that into a central role that we're hoping for our Shire in terms of the World Heritage Listing bid for the Victorian Goldfields, which has 15 local government authorities led by the cities of Ballarat and Greater Bendigo. So this is also an opportunity to achieve an objective in our priority projects plan to connect the important precincts in Maryborough that we've identified and want to develop to expand our tourism and visitor offering. That is the station complex, obviously, with the beautiful civic precinct and the gallery complex. And also emerging into that is the, which I hope will get greater precedence in the future, is the Princess Park Historic Precinct 2, with grandstand and a number of other attractions in it too, heritage attractions. So the issue is to connect those precincts, particularly the station and the civic precinct and the gallery, beautiful gallery, with stories telling the story of women in that gold rush period. And in fact, if on a comparative basis, the Victorian gold rush included a lot of women. Some of the other gold rush of the 19th century focused more on men relocating and doing, of course, the mining and the heavy work. The particular immigration that took place to Victoria included a lot of women and children. So telling the story of those women and what they achieved and what they did in their contribution is a very, very rich story in what is clearly a strong case and a very strong case for the World Heritage Listing. But importantly, if this was successful, it enables us to position Maryborough as a first in telling that unique story of the contribution of women in that gold rush period. So I think this is an incredibly exciting proposal. It ticks a lot of things. It ticks the significance of Maryborough heritage, which in itself is very significant. It ticks the history of the gold rush and the development of Maryborough in that gold rush period, and Havilah and that concept of that land flowing with gold and rivers of gold and that aspiration of that period. It ticks the priority project planning, connecting our precincts, our beautiful precincts, and the wayfinding between them. So this ticks so many boxes. It's a great program, and again, I finish where I started. I commend the general manager and for bringing this to us, because this has substantial upside, and I hope we're successful. If this motion gets through, I hope we're successful, because I think it will be very important for us and long-term, very prospective. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Lovett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The reality is, although I've seconded this motion, I do have some questions that require clarification on this particular arts program. However, when I read the report and saw that there is no guarantee that this opportunity will be offered again, and that the submissions close at 5 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of August, I feel it's important that we've at least got skin in the game. So therefore, I will be voting for this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Lovett. Would any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Lavella.
I will be voting against this motion. And councillors, reading through this report, I cannot support this. The reason being, the look and theme of connecting the two heritage precincts via Nolan Street has not been discussed by councillors nor the community. There were notional ideas floating around in regards to the benefits of wall art, but nothing definitive. The Nolan Street buildings have a rich history of the Art Deco era. This needs to be taken into any considerations we as a community make. This on the run report has not been thought through at all in my view. We as councillors and community have raised all out with the officers a few times to know about. Now at the last hour, with 1 week's notice of a grant that closes Friday at 5 p.m, heading into caretaker mode, we will be making a decision honouring the women of the Goldfields, which I totally believe in, don't get me wrong, without considering, number one, who are the women? 2, nor have we discussed whether males should indeed be in the mix if we go down that path, so to speak. Yes, we are building up our tourism attractions, which is imperative for our future. However, this needs to be done with due consideration and community consultation. I certainly acknowledge Councillor Chris Meadows-Taylor for his great effort and great deal of work and passion he put into the World Heritage bid and UNESCO. I truly do. However, I believe if we endorse this rush grant application, which was only mentioned last Tuesday at the end of the briefing, we are setting up a new council with the perception of a predetermined look for Nolan Street. And the community will be committed, rightly or wrongly, to accept whatever the look the officers have foreshadowed because of the Victorian Women's Public Art grant. Decisions on the run is not how I operate, nor should it be council's way. This is not a critical decision. There will be other grants coming along that will be suited to our needs. Given Nolan Street is in the town of Maryborough, I would think respect should be shown to the 4 incoming councillors representing their wards and their communities, that they be afforded the opportunity of input into the decision-making process of Nolan Street in the Maryborough Township. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vella. Would any other councillors like to speak? Councillor De Villiers.
Thank you. I'm not going to support this the report. I just believe we did not have enough time. We're committing to something that we don't have enough information about. And especially when it comes to the Bookends project, it was raised once 3.5 years ago, and since then we have not received any information. So I fully support Councillor Novella, and I will be voting no.
Thank you, Councillor De Villiers. Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Sprout.
Thank you, Mayor. This application, as per the report, applied for funding between $50,000 and $200,000. And so my brief 4 years on council, $200,000 if you're successful, doesn't actually get you a whole lot. And I highly doubt we're going to be redoing Nolan Street in this whole theme. So, look, I think it aligns with the World Heritage bid. It's a great thing to be honouring women of the Goldfields, so in support of the recommendations.
Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Murphy.
We just passed a fair access policy about women and girls can get involved in sport and a few things like that. I don't think if we got $200,000 or $100,000, it's going to be on the main shops of the street, like out the front on the historical shops, and maybe on the side where the library, or down where the fine IGA, etc. But on the side, but I think it's really weird. This happens a few times where we get opportunities, and we get an opportunity here, and if we've got $200,000, we pay $40,000 or an in-kind contribution there might be an in-kind contribution. We might not get to, as councillor Sproul said, you might get 50 grand. And what can you do for that? You know, what can we do? But we have the final say. Us as councillors and the new councillors have the final say of what you want. You know, you just don't let an artist take over and they have the final say. We have the final say. No, we don't want this there. No, this is historic, Preston is historic, and we can see that we could do some artwork in around it, but not in this real historic area. So I think sometimes you've got to go for these things, and this is one of the ones. I know we didn't get it till last week, but this is one of the ones you need to go for, and as possibly Councillor Sproul said, you may not get 200, you may not get any, but you might get 150. But the co-contribution is not 40, and also it's the 25, 26 years, not this financial year. So at those sort of things, I think we should have a go at it and see if it happens, because there's not many times you can get out there and put some stuff out for women, especially in art. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Councillor Meadows-Taylor, you have a right of reply.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First thing to acknowledge, I think all my time on council, most grants, far more than a few, most grants come at inconvenient times. Most we would like to have more time on, fewer ideal times. They come to us when the funders put them out there with the timeframes that they give us, and it is like the old saying, we like it or lump it. Certainly we don't have to apply, but if we don't apply, we miss an opportunity. And this council has done exceptionally well over time, because we've grabbed opportunities where we can. We've made things happen. This is a can-do council, and we've achieved. We know we don't have much of ourselves, but we take what is available. We work hard. We work with our communities. We make good things happen. So yes, this is an unfortunate time frame, but it's happened in so many grants that we've been successful and made good things happen. In relation to committing Councillor Bella's part, I thank her for her comments about World Heritage Listing and the recognition about the role of women. But I would make the comment, yes, there's some obligation, although a new council, if we were to be offered it, could decide not to accept it. I hope that wouldn't be the case, but it's open to them. So the mix of, if anything that was offered would be up for the new council to decide. But not so long ago, we accepted on a motion from Councillor Latella that we proceed with support for the Castlemaine Maryborough rail trail. Now, I don't begrudge that at all. I was out of the room because some other aspect of that motion
Point of
was
order.
involved on a conflict of
Point
interest.
of order,
Yes.
relevance to this motion.
Absolutely. I'm going to talk about the level of commitment to a future council. And that is that particular initiative will, if it was successful, will potentially involve hundreds and thousands of dollars of costs, some like the grant, some not. We did that because it was an opportunity. This is an opportunity with a far less amount of commitment. It is based on the same objective. It's in there because it gives us a strategic opportunity to advance tourism. In relation to Councillor De Villiers' point, the two precinct issues and the wayfinding between them have come up as recently as late, I think October or November, I can't remember the exact one, 2023, very recently in the priority projects plan. We looked at it again, we looked at it initially, we developed it, and it's been out for consultation. It has been consulted. The World Heritage Listing is part of our council plan. This is an initiative based on things that have been well consulted with the community. This is an opportunity I believe we should grab.
Councillor Taylor, that concludes the debate. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
I would like it, my no vote manifest, please.
You'd like a division? Yeah, the motion is carried. Can we call for a division? All those in favour? Councillor Sproul, Councillor Meadows Taylor, Councillor Long, Councillor Murphy, Councillor Lovett, all those against? Councillor Lavella and Councillor de Villiers. Thank you. Next on the agenda, council reports and general business. We don't have any of those, but we do have two notice of motions. We have motion number 12. Chris Meadows Taylor, would you like to move that motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I've just been. 10.1.
Oh, sorry,
yes,
10.1, sorry.
Yes.
Application is the 12th motion of this term, but it is item number 10.
Thank you for a moment. Thanks.
Sorry, Councillor Meadows Taylor.
The recommendation in my motion, the council, one, note that the local government Victoria website states that the annual community satisfaction surveys compiles community feedback on councils in the following key performance areas: council overall performance, council community consultation and engagement, customer service, and overall council direction. The survey is conducted by the Department of Government Services on behalf of participating councils. A minimum of 400 local residents and ratepayers in each municipality over 18 years of age is selected at random. The present widely used version was implemented in 2012. Since this time, there has been unprecedented changes in local government driven by an increasingly resource-constrained environment, including rate capping. But with concurrent pressure to deliver a broad range of community infrastructure and benefits, working towards a longer-term community vision and financial plan, requiring the need to draw on a complex range of strategies, partnerships and funding sources to achieve delivery. 2, council resolved to write to the Minister for Local Government recommending the following council elections, it would be timely to undertake a broadly based review of the community satisfaction survey to ascertain if a survey focused on random resident feedback is in itself the best way of measuring and assessing the strategic direction of a council and the effectiveness of the planning, partnerships, initiatives and funding strategies which lead to achievement of significant community outcomes needed, or if more strategically targeted and relevant feedback approaches would deliver better results, requiring changes to the present community satisfaction survey model. Thanks, Madam.
Thank you, Councillor Meadows Taylor. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Meadows Taylor notice of motion? Councillor Sproul, Councillor Meadows Taylor.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. At a recent meeting, councillors spoke about the community satisfaction survey when we noted the present survey, and there were a range of criticisms and comments about it and about its limitations, particularly about the random timing that people are approached and its general impact and usefulness. Now, I thought of two sayings, one with the old saying, put up or shut up. I also thought about Councillor Lovett's term is often used, words achieved. I thought, look, if we don't express some concerns about this, then we just let this go on, it'll be the same thing. Now, the reality is, the community satisfaction survey model has actually been going for, I think, 25 years. This particular variation of it has been going since 2012, as I've noted. But the world's changed since then. It's changed with rate capping in the constrained environment we face in terms of rates. It's changed with the Local Government Act 2020, the things that are now expected of us, the long-term vision, the financial strategic plan, our requirement to think of communities in the future. So, in a sense, the model has picked up, the survey has picked up new questions. So, right at the top, a community council direction, value for the council value and value for money, community engagement, advocacy. They're all important questions, but you have to think based on the comments we've made before, he's spoken to someone at 6 o'clock, your comments, Madam Mayor, about the kids in the bath at that time, kids needing homework, the dinner's on the stove, and asking them about council direction, key strategic things. Yes, are you happy with your waste collection, perhaps, of roads, if they work out which are council roads and which are state roads? You might have a view about parks. But those key strategic conversations, the important feedback, that's not the way to get it. That's not the best way. Is someone completely unprepared suddenly able to talk about council direction, the longer term vision, how it's going, how successful it is in a whole range of measures in terms of getting the partnerships, the investment needed to get those better community outcomes? No, that is not the best way of doing it. Quite simply, my contention is this model has passed its use by date. It's okay for some things, it's completely inappropriate for others. Now, I don't want to hazard a guess, like it's inappropriate what a new survey might or a new approach might look like. Feedback is critical, but feedback that's relevant from partners and stakeholders that are relevant is a way forward. And so the proposal is here to throw it to the Minister of Local Government Victoria with post-election. And I think we won't be the only council thinking of this, that there will be many who will welcome the opportunity for a broadly based consultation. What is the best way of getting the feedback that councils of the future need to get and to relook at it each time?
Thank you, councillor Taylor. Councillor Sproul, would you like to speak to this motion?
I don't think I've got much more to add, thank you. Yeah, I support it. It's easy to sit on this side of the table and say, we're doing a good job, and I can understand the other side of, the residents, each week, council's crap, you see both sides, and I don't believe that the satisfaction survey does a very good job of actually relating that information. And so a review that they're 12 years old. So fully support writing a letter and asking for a potential review, and where that leads is where that leads. But support. Thank you.
Councillor Sproul. Any other councillors like to speak to this? Councillor De Villiers.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would just like to say that I'm not going to support this notice of motion. At this stage, these surveys are the only way available to councils for satisfaction surveys. These surveys are, even though it's old, are scientifically developed based on research and constantly tweaked and adjusted. Also, I do not believe if we want to bring about change, a letter to the minister will suffice. We need to use different platforms such as the MAP and PLJ to advocate for us. We will have more of a voice then. Going back now.
Councillor De Villiers. Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Vella.
I do agree with what Councillor De Villiers said. However, we've got to try every avenue we can at this point in time, because I do not believe the surveys are authentic. When you get a phone call at 6 o'clock, 400 people get surveyed, the survey company that's engaged, 400 people phoned around 6 o'clock. They ring me, I either hang up on them and say, I hate you, council, for disturbing my peace at dinner time. So I certainly support the letter that's to be sent.
Thank you, Councillor Vella. Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Murphy.
I think everyone knows my point of view last time. And I think we just have to get something new. Like, it's been 14 years, 12 years since it was redone, and it's been 25 years since it started. Even though it can tick all the boxes, there must be another way to tick these boxes. And some other way, a few councils got together and pushed the minister. Instead of just going down the same line year and year, and you've got to remember that we pay for every little one of them. If we want something new on there, we pay another X $1,000. So it does cost us money to do something, which sometimes you wonder how it can. What Councillor Taylor's saying about roads is right. I forgot about that one. you like your roads, but which roads are they talking about? So, got potholes, but that's the spirit is high. Who's in control of that? Anyway, I'm going to vote yes.
Thank you, councillor Murphy. Any other councillors like to speak? If not, councillor Meadows Taylor, you have a right of reply.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, two concerns that Councillor Davidians, I think I can respond to both. This would continue, this is not proposing that that something drop it and there'd be nothing. This would continue until there would be a replacement. So we won't be left without anything. This would continue. The other thing Councillor Murphy said, we are paying for this. Our ratepayers are paying money for it. So if we're not getting the best value, I think it's our responsibility to do something.
The ratepayers.
The other thing is to,
Could we keep the gallery quiet, please, while the councillor is speaking, and at all times, thank you. Councillor Meadows Taylor.
thanks, Madam Mayor. The other thing too about your point, which I would wholeheartedly agree about consultation with the MAV, the VLGA. If you note, the recommendation is broadly based consultation. I would imagine if there was a will to do this, there would be thorough consultation throughout the sector with councils, with peak bodies, and that. I mean, it would be inconceivable. I think, and the mayoral reference, I'm sure would be part of it too. Broadly based consultation is what is recommended. That would certainly pick up the organisations, which of course should have key input. So I think two concerns that you've expressed, which I sympathise with, I think are addressed.
Thank you, councillor Meadows Taylor. I'll now put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? The motion is carried. We have another notice of motion. It's item 10.2 and it is the 13th motion of this council, a motion by councillor Lovett. Thank you, councillor Lovett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I hope it's not unlucky 13. I move that council initiate the return of the Maryborough mayoral chain currently on loan to the Gold Museum of Ballarat.
I'll second that, please.
Thank you. Councillor Lovett, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In reality, this motion is housekeeping. Some years ago, many years ago, council loaned the Maryborough mayoral chain to the Ballarat Gold Museum, who are operated by Sovereign Hill, for a major exhibition of important Goldfields memorabilia. The loan was accompanied by a letter stating that this was a temporary loan. The chain remains the property of Central Goldfields Shire. I have a real concern that as people leave the organisation, past actions are forgotten and items of historical importance can be lost. Similarly, the daily letter that named Maryborough has been loaned to Midlands Historical Society in perpetuity. However, there is also a letter stating that ownership remains with Central Goldfields Shire. With council's return to the Maryborough Town Hall being imminent, these items of historical importance become increasingly crucial to know where they are and decisions made on display. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Lovett. Councillor Lavella, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, from the moment we were elected in 2020, I was quite bemused by the fact that we didn't have mayoral chains. We had a lovely football lanyard, striped lanyard. It did tin that, no, I shouldn't say it's not tin. Whatever that emblem was on the end of it, I used to call it mayoral bib. That's what it looks like, mayoral bib. No, all jokes aside, I was just saying, we didn't have our chains. We had chains, and sure, they're the Tullarook Maryborough Shire at that time. Is that correct, Councillor Lovett? But they're in Ballarat. What are they doing in Ballarat? They're ours. We're not the Shire of Ballarat. And I really do feel we need to get them back into our possession over here and get replicas for the mayor of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Vella. Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Meadows Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll certainly be voting in favour of the motion. Look, I was probably a bit of the guilty party with the full approval of the council at the time when they went to Ballarat. The problem was that they, because of their gold content, they were in the bank vault and no one could see them. We then talked about, as a council, and sought advice from the officers whether we could have them on display. The view at the time, that was back, over 10 years ago, 15 years ago, was that there was nowhere safe at that stage for them to be safely displayed. So consequently, they lived in the bank vault and no one saw them. Now, I really agree that they're part of our, the city of Maryborough is part of our heritage. I mean, they date back to the Queen's visit in 1954, when at a great considerable cost, the Queen's train arrived at the station, and the mayor was then garbed up with the full mayoral robes and regalia. The only problem was a supposed polio outbreak, and the Queen never got out. But the mayor was there. So part of our history, it also got the chain, it's also got the city of 1962. When it was the city of Maryborough proclaimed the city, you had to have 7,000 people. So it's a rich part, as councillor Lovett and said, it's a part of our history. It went simply online, and we should get it back. And it was always online, just with the view in the Gold Museum, they had the safety display, and the condition was, with council approval, that it would be, the deal I did with the CEO of the City of Ballarat, was that they would be on display in the safety in the Gold Museum, and they would contain some promotional material, marketing, and in fact, they would be a tourism ambassador for Maryborough. That time has come and gone. We're now in a situation, I think, where we could hopefully safely display them, or as Councillor Vella said, perhaps a replica. They need to come back home, I thought.
Thank you, councillor Meadows Taylor. Would any other councillors like to speak to this motion? I'll put that to the vote. Oh, sorry, councillor Lovett.
But we didn't vote against it.
No one's voted against.
I still have
Oh,
the
okay.
opportunity.
Okay,
You do
yep.
too.
I hope I don't get in trouble with the CEO for saying this by mentioning the employee's name. In moving this motion, I mentioned as people leave the organisation, and I'm particularly talking about one of our longest serving employees, Colleen Rich. The knowledge that Colleen has is unsurpassable. What she's got in her head and the knowledge of the city of Maryborough and Central Goldfields Shire is immeasurable. Nobody would know that. And I'm concerned that as people move on, that a lot of this information is forgotten and lost. As I also mentioned, council, it's imminent that we're moving back to the council chamber. Just last week, councillors went up and had a look at what's been done at the Maryborough Town Hall of the council chamber. It is, in my opinion, absolutely stunning what work has been done. And Amber's people need to be congratulated for what they have done. One of the important things, Councillor Lavella mentioned the Maryborough mayoral chain, and she was horrified that we Central Goldfields Shire, in essence, didn't have one. Well, we have got one. The reality is, the particular item we're talking about is the Maryborough mayoral chain. But since 1995, we have been Central Goldfields Shire. And it's very important, in my mind, that all the constituent parts that make up Central Goldfields Shire are recognised in the council chamber. And the constituent parts are the previous city of Maryborough, Talbot part of Talbot Clune Shire, the Tullaroop Shire, and in essence, the Bethbet Shire, less the Eddington area. So when people will go into the newly refurbished council chamber, it won't be the Maryborough Council chamber. It will be the chamber of Central Goldfields Shire. And I think that's very, very, very important. And we've got things like the McClandress Cup, the Daily Letter. I hope that the new council make a decision, as Councillor Meadows Taylor said, for many, many years it was hidden away in a bank vault, nobody even knew it was there. And that's a shame. So the first thing is to get it back, and then hopefully the new council will make a decision, because as I say, the community will be very pleasantly surprised when they see the new council chamber at the Maryborough Town Hall. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Lovett. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That motion is carried. Next, we have urgent business, which there is none, and we also don't have any confidential business. Before I close the meeting, I would like to call upon a councillor to move that we suspend standing orders. Tonight's our last night with our CEO, and this will allow our councillors to acknowledge and thank our CEO, Ms. Roffey, for her service.
Madam Mayor, I would be delighted, sorry.
No, you can.
I thought it this way. I would be delighted to move that council suspend standing orders in order to recognise the contribution of Ms. Lucy Roffey, CEO, on her last day.
Thank you, councillor Manso. And secondly, councillor Vella, all those in favour? Against? That's carried. My fellow councillors, colleagues, officers, gallery and virtual gallery. Today's council meeting will be the last meeting our CEO, Ms. Roffey, will be attending, as she has taken a metro position at Yarra Council. I would like to take this opportunity to formally thank Ms. Roffey for her 6 years of dedicated service and invaluable contributions that has reinforced the strong direction the Central Goldfields Shire Council is heading in. Ms. Roffey's leadership, dedication and strategic vision during that time has been invaluable to the Shire and will be missed. On behalf of council, we wish you all the very best as you move to your new positions. Here's to celebrating your remarkable achievements and to wishing you continued success and happiness. Would any other councillors like to say a few brief words? Councillor Meadows Taylor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I fully endorse those comments. It was my privilege to be mayor for the first 2 years of this elected council. And in that, I think I had a unique opportunity to work with Ms. Roffey as CEO as we put things together. And I recall quite early on, we had a letter from the minister. I suspect it's fairly typical after councils have been in administration. Please send a report within 6 months how things are going. In fact, the minister came up at about that time. And he actually said, look, we're thrilled in Melbourne how things are going and how well things are going. And the key thing he said that I look for and we look for is the relationship of the council with its CEO. That is the key ingredient. And he said that box is so well ticked at Central Goldfields. And so I want to acknowledge the way in which, Lucy, that you pull together and worked with the elected council, worked with your executive to pull things together, to put the past behind, to focus on the future, with all the constraints of a local government, new Local Government Act, pandemic, of staff shortages, all those things, to make good things happen, to work together, to achieve things together, and you deserve full credit for that. And you go with the best wishes of this council and with real thanks and appreciation for a job splendidly done.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Lovett.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to thank Lucy for her input and expertise at Central Goldfields Shire over the past 7 years. When she joined the organisation, it was described as a tumultuous time, which I'm sure she will agree with. It's fair to say that administratively, there was a lot of work to do in regards to policies and procedures and also personnel issues. Recently, Council renewed the CEO's contract for 5 years. I believe this was a positive endorsement of her performance. Tomorrow, is a time for everyone to look forward. For Lucy, a new opportunity both professionally and personally is very exciting. For council, we have already appointed an interim CEO who will be in place until the 30th of June 2025. A new council will be elected in just a few weeks. Early next year, this new council will be in a position to advertise and choose the person they believe is the right fit to lead this Shire for the next 5 years. And that's exciting for the new council too. I personally wish Lucy and Andrew all the best for the next phase in your lives. Thank you.
Councillor Lovett, anyone else like to speak? Councillor Lavelle.
Yes, I'd really like to acknowledge Lucy. You went through a tough time, coming in with administrators and then a new council appointment. You also went through a pandemic and managed that brilliantly, I felt, and pulled, as councillor said, pulled it all together at the end of the day. It would have been scary for anyone coming from a small council to face that in the first instance. It was a huge effort on your behalf, and that put you in good stead. And I really congratulate you and look forward to your future. I'm hearing about your future going to a metro council with new horizons. You've got the training up here, didn't you? So thank you very much for the support you gave to this council. It was very complete.
Thank you, Councillor Lavelle. Any other councillors? Councillor Stroud.
Thank you. As a first-time councillor, I suppose my experience with local government CEOs is quite limited. But I suppose personally, just to thank you for the support that you gave me, I suppose, in those early stages, and there was a couple of sometimes phone calls on the way home going, "What are you doing? You got no idea." And so it was, whilst your advice wasn't always in my favour, it was very much appreciated. So, and I suppose on another note, thank you for your support with the Pride Festival, both with the monetary contribution and also the in-kind, because without you that wouldn't have happened. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sproul. Any other councillors like to speak? Councillor Murphy.
I just want to say thank you. And I'll just leave this quote, African proverb. I didn't say this myself. This comes from another mind.
Not plagiarising.
I am saying it's an African proverb. So if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. You put it together.
Yeah, great.
Thank you. Thank you.
If the councillors like to speak?
A bit for lunch for them, save it for later.
Okay. If that is all, thank you very much. I would like to, sorry, Lucy. Try to reply.
Twice today.
Miss Rocky, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to have a right of reply. I just wanted to thank all of the councillors for those kind words. And I think finishing off with that quote, Councillor Murphy, is exactly what I wanted to talk about. You know, achieving things for a community is all about teamwork. And that teamwork is, you know, all the officers, and we have amazing staff here at Central Goldfields Shire who work so hard for the community. It's the councillors working together and working with the officers, and it's also the community. And I think you've, there's so many things that I could talk about that I feel are great achievements. But, you know, one of the things I think we have really, you know, improved over the last couple of years, you know, is working with community groups, and whether it's working in a reference group or just meeting and working with groups out on site, working with our community asset committees, all of that work is teamwork. That means that the whole community can benefit from, you know, the great knowledge, experience, skills, not just, as I said, in the officers, but in the councillors and also in the community. There's so much you can draw upon. And I think I find that to be the most rewarding part of working in local government, because, you know, you look around the council table and just the diversity of backgrounds of all the people sitting here, councillors and officers, and similarly out in the community. And if you can draw on all of that experience, you do work as a team, you can achieve great things. And I do feel that over the last 6 years, we have achieved some amazing things together. I hopefully, you know, leave Central Goldfields Shire in a better place, not just the organisation, but, you know, out there in the community with all of the things that we've been able to do. And, you know, the partnerships that we also make with state government and federal government, we've talked about grants a lot tonight, and, you know, a lot of that wouldn't have been able to be achieved without the effort that we put into getting grants and then being able to implement those. And I was really pleased that Mark Hayward, our local MP, came by today to say goodbye. And those sorts of relationships are so important for us to get things done in the Shire for the community. So as it is my last council meeting, I just want to thank everybody that I've worked with over the last 6 years. And when I say worked with, that means community members, MPs, state government people, other councils that we've worked with. We also work really closely with our neighbours, council staff, everybody. It's been a really great experience for me. I've really enjoyed it, and I just want to thank everybody that has also supported me, because it's not things that I do, it's what we all do together. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rossi. Robbie, apologies again. If there's nothing else, I would like to ask a councillor to move that we resume standing orders, please. Councillor Lavella?
Resume standing orders. I move.
Thank you. Seconded by councillor Taylor. All those in favour? Against? That motion is carried. On that note, I'll close the meeting. Thank you everyone for your attendance. Please, if you're driving home, drive safe. Thank you very much. Thank you.